Hey there, this is Linus Klausenitzer, and you're listening to the Channa 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 podcast.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my podcast. We have a very special guest today, all the way from Germany. We have Linus Klausenitzer. He's the former bassist of Obscura, and he has a new band now called Obsidious. Hi Linus.
Hi, Channa Channa Channa. It's awesome to be here. Thank you very much. It's early in the morning in Germany, but I have no idea what time it is in the Philippines right now, but thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's actually 4 p.m. now.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah. So, how you been? How's the situation in Germany these days because of this COVID and everything? Is it getting better now?
Like it's an up and down situation. I mean, we had the lockdown in April. I think it was right after the last Obscura tour that I did. We were pretty lucky actually that I think there was one show canceled after the tour. That was a festival show, but that's it basically. And when the lockdown came, I was quitting Obscura anyway, so it was like a kind of a good coincidence for me that I mean, like it was good that it happened this year for me because I didn't plan to play any show this summer anyway, and it's the first time I don't play a show in summer since I'm 16 years old, I think. So yeah, but it's going up and down right now. The first tours start to happen again with a lot of restrictions. I just went to a classical concert 2 days ago, and that went pretty well. Was good organized, seemed to be safe. And tonight I go to a blues concert. A German guitarist called Henrik Freischlader will play in my hometown here in Nürnberg, in Germany. And on Monday I go to see Panther Ballet. If you don't know Panther Ballet, it's a very, very cool, nerdy band that take. They write also own songs, but they are mostly famous for taking pop songs and rock songs and making super bizarre fusion metal versions out of it. So if you don't know that, check it out.
Yeah. Wow, nice. Yeah, I saw your post. You posted that you were attending this classical show. Yeah. I'm really waiting for this to happen here also because I used to go to a lot of concerts and now there's nothing to go. You're just stuck at.
Yeah. How's the situation? Yeah. How's the situation for you?
We are actually still in lockdown. It's
all right.
It's not very tight now. It's kind of relaxed, but we have still a lot of COVID cases here in the Philippines. So the restaurants and places are not fully open, so it's kind of stressful actually staying home every day. So
I can imagine. So a lot of time to make podcasts then.
Yeah, actually I started this during the COVID, this podcast.
Right. That's turning into something positive.
Yeah.
Good thing.
Yes. So Linus, I discovered you I think few years ago. I was liking your page for some time now. I've been following you for some time. And
thank you.
Yeah, I really love the last 2 albums of Obscura.
Great to hear. Thank you.
Yeah, actually I have a friend, a Filipino friend who's living in Luxembourg. He's Angelo. He told me to tell you this, that he also loved these 2 albums.
Thank you, Angelo.
Yeah, Linus, so can you tell me a little bit about your childhood growing up? I know you grew up in a home where, like, parents were musicians. So can you tell me a little bit about your childhood?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's in this kind of scene where I played mostly in, it's like the progressive metal, extreme metal, technical death metal scene. Most people have the same, more or less the same story from their childhood. It's really, I come from a very musical family. My father was he played violin and had quite a name in the classical scene. He was a conductor, and he's still, being 75, he's still active. And my mother also got to know him on a tour with an orchestra, as far as I know. And she played trombone. She played she also played piano, organ, a lot of different instruments she played, and yeah, that of course had a huge influence. There was always music running in the house. They saw my musical interest, and so they started to give me I don't know, some musical lessons. I went to play the violin as a very small child, but I hated that pretty much. So I just recently heard the story that I had my first violin lesson, and I was 4 years old, I think, and I had like this very small violin, and I was hitting it on my head and running through the room all the time, not being able to concentrate. And the teacher asked me what song I would like to play on the violin, and I was very furious, and I said, "Oh, that shit song!" And hitting the violin on my head. So I was not amazed by playing the violin. And then I played later trumpet and piano. Like my parents asked me what I would like to play, and those were the two instruments I chose. But I never got very. I like to hang out in a big band and play trumpet in a big band as a I don't know 10-year-old kid. So that I enjoyed that kind of feeling that you have in a band also, like this. I don't know, going on the rehearsal weekends and making music all day. Like this was the first time I had those experiences, and I liked that a lot. But the trumpet was also not really my instrument. Was lazy as hell. Yeah, and then I turned 15, and I was on a musical school, and on that musical school, you had to play an instrument. That was part of the school program. So I got a, how do you call it? Bracelets. Yeah, I got bracelets, and that made me stop playing trumpet. And at the same time, I saw Life After Death from Iron Maiden the first time. The VHS, yeah, and it was in the middle of the 90s. The metal was very unpopular, actually. Like that old school metal was very unpopular. But a friend of mine got that VHS, and I was totally stunned. I was amazed by Steve Harris, and I thought, that guy is that's exactly what I would like to do. That playing bass like that, and yeah, that was kind of a game changer. And then I had to get a new instrument, and I asked my parents if it could be the electric bass, and they said, yeah. That could be fine, but this time you're not so lazy like with the trumpet. And and then they got me my first bass guitar, and yeah, then I don't know, that was my game changer. I was a basketball kid before, like wearing basketball shirts and playing basketball like 5 times a week, and then it switched completely, and I became the metal guy in school, and yeah, and that's still what I am now.
So, other than Iron Maiden, what are the other bands you listen back then?
Back then, when I started, like I said, metal was very unpopular, and I grew up on the countryside. Everything that was very easy to listen to and very commercial, I liked in the beginning. So it was like Manowar, Iron Maiden, Pretty Mates, like very hard rock, power metal kind of music. Then it's like the first more heavy band I listened to was Children of Bottom, and then I got more interest, and then was with Flames, and then I realized, and then I started to have new friends, and then I realized, wait, there's even more heavy music, and then I listened to Morbid Angel and Cannibal Corpse. I got introduced to that world. Yeah, that's how everything started for me.
So when did you what was your first bass performance?
My first bass performance was a school band, I think, and that we played U2 and stuff like that. I was a very shy player, playing bass in the background. Yeah, but it was a good experience, and I had a band with my 2 best friends that I grew up with. The music that we played was pretty horrible, I guess, but those experiences are the ones that, I don't know, you still think about nostalgically. I don't know, sitting in a crappy rehearsal space, drinking cheap beer and writing songs together. That was quite a good experience, of course.
Right. So starting with Steve Harris, then who else did you get influence over the years for bass?
Yeah, I like my first bass that I had was a Fender jazz bass, and I got it from a colleague from my father, because my father played also with he had his own orchestra, and this orchestra played with a lot of pop and rock musicians also. He played with Santana, for example, and they played a lot of jazz programs with, I don't know, Duke Ellington, for example, and they had I don't know, a person in the orchestra that took care about all those classical concerts with a band. And he was the bass player there. And my father asked him if he had that he could buy for me. And he gave me the first Fender jazz bass. And with it, he gave me a VHS tape of Jaco Pastorius to show me already what the top notch of bass playing is. And
right.
I had no idea who he was, never heard of him before, but I don't know how much you are into bass playing in the death metal scene. He's not a famous person, but in the bass scene, he's like the Jimi Hendrix. Yeah, so it's really, I was very impressed by his playing, and I started to learn his stuff very early, and I had a bass teacher that was very into funk music, so I learned from I started to play not only metal with my band that my teacher was not very good in to teach me, so I did it myself. But he taught me more rhythm-based kind of bass playing, which I still love very much. And I think it's something that a lot of metal bass player should focus on more often, to be like not a copy of the guitarist, but being a rhythm instruments playing together with the drums. And there I played a lot of Tower of Power, for example. Rocco Prestia was one of my heroes. He just died a couple of days ago. Yeah, one of my very, very big heroes from that, from early on.
Right. So after the school bands, and then what how do you pronounce the band name? Noneuclid?
Noneuclid, yeah.
Noneuclid,
after, yeah, the story is like this. I finished school, and then I went to a music college. And at that music college, I met a drummer who was also the metalhead on that music college. We were like two metalheads. And I was mostly into power metal. I like Gamma Ray and Symphony X and that kind of music. And he liked, he was more the black metal kind of person. And he listened to a lot of, I don't know, Dark Throne and Morbid Angel was also his thing, I think, back then. So yeah, it was actually, there was not a lot of bands we had in common that we listened to, but still, you know how it is. This metal community is something that connects, and that, I don't know, we started to hang out and play pop songs together, and enjoyed also that, because we had a same approach of, I don't know, you know, that in metal, it's the great thing about metal is that it's such an extreme music. You can, I don't know, live your emotions so extreme, from very soft to very loud, to be very loud and extreme, and that's the beauty of metal. And if you approach music like this, not only with metal, then it's something that, I don't know, unites every metal musician playing all the pop music. So that's what we did. And at some point, he had a new project. There was Noneuclid, and the bass player, I think he hurt his fingers or something, so he couldn't play with Noneuclid anymore. Yeah, so he hurt his fingers and he had to recover. And anyway, I stepped in, and I played the first concerts, and I'm still in that band. It's more like a project, to be honest. But the interesting part was for me that the guitarist and singer, no, he wasn't singing at the time, but the guitarist and the main guy behind Noneuclid was Florian Magnus Meyer, who's the singer of Alkaloid, my other band now also. Right. And we became friends, and he is like his main job is being a classical composer. And that opened a lot of opportunities for us, because he lives in the Netherlands, and they have a lot of public funding for classical music. And he started to write, he always wrote classical pieces, and sometimes there was, I don't know, the approach of that, I don't know. Sometimes he was asked to like do really extreme projects, and then he came up with the idea to include the Noneuclid to those classical concerts. And so we played with a metal pole orchestra in Amsterdam, and we played once also with the orchestra of my father, and that was an amazing experience. And yeah, so that was we had a very few concerts, but they were all the time very, very special. And yeah, I had and that was the door opener for me for Obscura also, because the guitarist of Noneuclid is the producer of Obscura. So that's like and the rehearsal space of the Noneuclid was in the same house than Obscura's rehearsal room. So I met Stefan the first time, I think at the first rehearsal of the Noneuclid also. And Stefan went to some of the concerts of the Noneuclid, and that's how we got to know each other. Yeah, and that's how everything started with Obscura then later.
Right. But one of the record that you did for Noneuclid, the Metatheosis, is it's a great album, right? I couldn't find it in Spotify or anywhere, but I see somebody uploaded the full album on YouTube.
Awesome. That's good, because Noneuclid was always very unlucky with contracts. We have actually 2 albums, and the first album that was released with a very underground label, and I don't know if that's still available anywhere. And the second album was also released with also an underground label called Blood Music. And I think half year later, the owner of Blood Music had a breakdown and a life crisis, and he basically stopped promoting everything and working for his label. So so that's why it's very hard to get, which is kind of sad, because I really, really like that album. So cool that you found it on YouTube. I didn't know it's even there. I just realized also like a year, it was also on Spotify, but they took it down a year ago. I have no idea why, and no clue.
So you said the Obscura. So you met the guys over the the rehearsal. So what happened? How did they invited you to join the band?
Yeah. Just one thing I just want to add about the Noneuclid, because it's cool that you asked about the Noneuclid, because right now we start to work again on something. We had those orchestral concerts, and they were also recorded, but it's a lot of work to edit and to mix all the violins, and our producer never had time for it. And now for the very first time, he has time. There are recordings from 2008, 2010 that we probably will bring out at some point as a new recording, and I'm very excited about that. So yeah,
right.
But yeah, talking about Obscura, I think Stefan asked me the first time we met at this Noneuclid rehearsal. He came. We met outside for when our guitarist made a smoking break, and we started to talk. And it was a very early stage of Obscura. I don't know what it was. What year was it? 2007 or whatever, I don't know. And we were standing outside, and he said, "Well, we play Noneuclid. We also need a bass player. Do you want to join?" And I'd never heard of Obscura. I was just starting, and I looked at him. Well, I don't know you. I have 3 other bands right now, because at that moment I played a lot of different jobs. I don't know you. The place where you live here is pretty far away. I don't know your music, and the way that you ask me already right now is a bit awkward. So nah. But yeah, that was actually the first time I got asked for Obscura already to join. That's pretty funny. And then later I got asked for a tour to step in, and that was canceled, the tour, I think, or the original bass player could play the tour. And then I can remember actually it was when we recorded Metatheosis with the Noneuclid, that album, that Stefan came in and he complained about the Omnivium recordings, that it was so tough, and that he's thinking about quitting the band or ending the band, and I was wondering a lot. And then like 2 weeks later, I got a phone call, and it seems that in that meanwhile, everything changed completely for Obscura again. Right. And maybe it had to do also with quitting. I don't know. But he got me a call if I want to play the tours for Oblivion, because Paul Tisling, the bass player at that time, he quit during or right after the album recording. So I was asked to play all the shows, because there were tours already planned in Europe with Hate Eternal and Beneath the Massacre, and tour in North America with Devin Townsend and Children of Bottom. So I stepped in, I played those 2 tours, and it was very fast clear that the chemistry between the band members was good, and that everything felt right, and so that made me the permanent member then.
Right. So the 2016, I think you recorded prior to the 2016 album, you recorded a compilation as well, right? With Obscura?
Oh yeah, that's called Illimitation. Yeah, that was. I mean, for me, the time in Obscura is divided into 2 parts. It's the first lineup with Hannes Grossmann and Christian Münchner, and the second lineup with Rafael Trujillo and Sebastian Lanser. Those were the big, I don't know, milestones for me in Obscura. And the first lineup I also loved a lot. And it was weird. We toured like a couple of years together, and we never put out a record together. So this compilation is actually the only recordings we made as Obscura in that lineup. And we just, it was just the plan to release something, because the Omnivium was out already for 1 or 2 years, and we thought we should put something out. And we have those, Stefan said yes, those old demo recordings from, I don't know, with demos from Cosmic Genesis, and also from the first very demos that were a very small release, and there were only, I don't know, a couple of 100 CDs, and they had all very high prices on eBay. So we thought, okay, if people want to hear that, then let's put that out again. And additionally, we recorded 3 cover versions, and that's what I recorded with that lineup. It was we played a song from Atheist, one from Cynic, and one from Death, and that's that's what I did. I still like those cover versions, to be honest. They were pretty fun to record, also. Right.
So the album released in 2016, Acrosis. So how much did you contribute writing that album?
Well, the situation at that time was quite awkward, because I was in the band since 2011, and I think the other 2 quit in 2014 or so. And we started to write on a new album already in that lineup, but during that writing process, the lineup collapsed basically. And I was planning to just write 1 or 2 songs, and I was even sitting with Hannes together already going through those songs, and then they left. And the situation, I mean, they left because of reasons that I understood, and those reasons also they were between Stefan and them basically, and I understood those reasons, and I also had some problems back then already, and but still I said those are not problems I cannot face. I want to stay in the band. And then I did together with Stefan, and we had those situations that Hannes, that wrote most of the music for Oblivion, wasn't there anymore. And we had to really find the whole band sound with 2 people. We were only 2 people starting to write. We got the drummer Sebastian Lanser back then, who I knew from Pantaglet, the band that I told you before that I was here Monday also. I knew it from that band, and it was also a friend from Hannes actually, so I got introduced to him already. And then we got another guitarist that was called Fountainhead. And Sebastian didn't want to write any songs at all. He was quite busy and wasn't interested in songwriting at that time. So we were 2 songwriters, and then Fountainhead came in, and he also started to write. So it was like basically three people, I would say, writing almost the same amount of songs together. But yeah, it was pretty tough time to define a whole new band sound, and I had almost no composing experience. So I had to really push myself, which was a very good thing, because now I love composing, and it's a very essential work for me. And yeah, so I would say like everybody contributed more or less the same, and the songs I came up with mostly was the Monis, for example. Ten Sephiroth was mostly for me. The Weltseele was mostly written by Fountainhead, but the three main verses from that song are written by me. Perpetual Infinity is mostly for me. Yeah, those kind of songs I brought in. And of course, I wrote all the bass lines for that album. Yeah, so I had like a very unexpectedly such an important role immediately. And yeah, but then I enjoyed a lot, and that kept on going also for Diluvium. Yeah, I enjoyed that having that important role in Obscura always.
Yeah,
and I like challenges.
Ten Sephiroth is actually one of my favorite songs from that album.
That's great to hear.
Yeah,
it's that was the first song I've ever written for Obscura.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I heard that the Obscura was like it's a continuous, like a concept, that it's a four-part concept that you were trying to do with the album, right? So then you released 2018 the fourth one, which is the Diluvium, right?
Correct.
Which I think you did a lot of involvement with that album, right? Songs writing.
Yeah, on Diluvium it was also very good because Sebastian started to write also, and Raphael as well. And Raphael was more or less the situation like I had on Diluvium. Raphael just joined right after Diluvium. I can remember like Stefan kicking out Fountainhead while we were in the studio, and the final mixing moment was horrible that moment. Anyway, but Raphael just joined right after Diluvium. So Fountainhead was in the band for 9 months only. So he never played a show. So that's why I said before I had like those two lineups in my head, because Fountainhead he had a big involvement on Oasis, but he was there for such a short time, and the influence of Raphael was way bigger in my opinion. So yeah, so we were all writing together, and and Sebastian brought himself also in way more, and so we wanted to have a little bit of different sound for that album, and I think it worked out pretty well, being more direct and being more like all the albums before are a little bit atmospheric and very dirty also from the sound-wise, and we wanted to have this time a very clear sound, and yeah, mostly it was you could see in development already like that like a part between, it was like Raphael, Sebastian and me writing together. We had a lot of Skype sessions, always sitting together, writing music together, and Stefan was also writing, but completely on his own. He didn't join those Skype sessions. He wrote 3 songs, I think, for Diluvium. Yeah, and brought in ideas for 2 more songs that I arranged then, yeah. But I came very late, and the rest of the album we wrote together. So that was like the preparation, I would say, for Obsidious, and that's how we realized how fun it is to write together and how good it works out. And that's why I also say that like people that listen to that Diluvium sound, that the 3 of us work together, it's also what's the basis for Obsidious.
Right. So Linus, you also I read that you also collaborated with like Marty Friedman and Jeff Loomis. Is it true?
Yeah, I mean, one of my main incomes is being a session bass player. So I record a lot from home, actually, for other bands, different projects. Yeah, and there I played on records with for Hannes, for example, Hannes Grossman, he has the solo project, and Jeff Loomis played on two on his records, I think, and I played like when people book session musicians, it's often the same kind of metal musicians, and I think I play on 2 or 3 records where also Jeff Loomis is playing guest solos, and Marty Friedman also played on the last Hannes Grossman record. It's like I mean I met both, but it's not that I'm close to them or we didn't play a show together or something like that. It was like also collaboration is too much, I would say, but yeah, we're on the same records. Yeah, and Marty Friedman is one of my super childhood heroes. So I laughed when I heard that he would play on the same record like me, because it's really an amazing musician to me.
Yeah, were you a fan of Cacophony back then?
Oh yeah, hell yes. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I mean back then not so much, more now I guess. But Megadeth, of course, was a huge influence for me, and also especially his last records that he put out with the solo project are also really stunning. I find very great.
Yeah, because Marty is like, he's like somewhere over there, right? His I don't know. His music is like, it's not. I mean, it's not just metal. It's like beyond that already, right? He's
and I once I had a dinner with him, and we talked a little bit also about his past, and I don't know, it's really he has really rock and roll stories from the time in Megadeth. It was really a rough time, I think. Rough but fun times. But he has basically almost no music theory knowledge, and the harmonies that he uses and the note material that he chooses without having that knowledge, that is one of the most impressive parts for me, because he's such good ears, and that impresses me a lot. Guys, spontaneously, I could never come up with such creative ideas like him. But I'm a very theoretical person. I need to write everything down, and then I see how it goes. But he kind of improvises things with his ears that are really unique and has a lot of surprise moments, and that fit a lot. And also what is really hard to find nowadays is a guitarist with a very unique kind of phrasing. And I mean, even when he plays a bending, you hear immediately that's Marty Friedman, and that's something you rarely hear nowadays.
Yeah. So you like, you left Obscura at the same time this pandemic was happening, right? Like pandemic coming up. So what's the new band called?
It's Obsidious, it's called. It's like an adjective from the obsidian. That's a lava stone that when lava hits water,
right,
that stone is formed, and we like that picture in our head, like that's having this massive chemical reaction when the water from the ocean hits with lava. Like it's a very extreme I don't know, a very extreme picture. And the obsidian is a very heavy stone. It's a very dark stone, but still it is shiny and has this very glossy element in it. And we like that picture, and we thought that could fit very well to our music. We thought a lot about a band name, but that one clicked most for us. Yeah.
So what's happening with the band? So you guys have songs already?
Yeah, I mean, we started writing songs already in the beginning of the year, you could say, because we actually planned to write a lot of songs that we are working on right now for the new Obscura record. And since you, like you said, the 4-album circle was finished from Obscura, we thought about, okay, we need to redefine ourselves again, like we did almost with every album a little bit. And especially Stefan wanted to go into a more, I don't know, less techy way. And we signed with Nuclear Blast, and like there was a lot of change. So we tried a lot of new things, and especially me, I wrote a lot of songs that were going in very different directions, and we were, I don't know, trying to see what could fit for Obscura and what not. And yeah, that's when I started to write a lot of songs already. And also Sebastian and Raphael, they were writing since a couple of years also to make a side project together. And they have had a lot of songs from there. And when we quit Obscura, we started to sit down and say, okay, what songs we can use. And most of those songs we didn't use, actually. We started, we thought, okay, we can do better. So we really we have very, very big plans with Obsidious. So we really don't want to just put out an album. And with Obscura, to be honest, it was always like that we had to fight to get enough songs, because it's so much work to write music in that kind of genre. It just takes a lot of time. And we never had this situation when I was in Obscura that we said, okay, this song is not strong enough, we don't put it on the album. That didn't happen, actually. So we used every song that we had, basically, because there was always time struggle, and we wanted to bring out the album, and we were very impatient. And this time we want to do it different. We really want to only take the strongest material. And so from, I don't know, when we sat down the first time after Obscura and we collected the ideas that we had, it was like, I don't know, 10 song ideas already, or more or less complete songs. And from those ideas we use now in the end 2 or 3. And we're very inactive with social media right now, so people have no idea what we're working on, but or if we are working or what's going on. But we don't want to show too much already, because we want to have the final product and then bring it out to people and don't show them like a draft kind of thing. We want to really, since we're working on something really big, we want to come out with something big, not to bring it in small pieces. We have a concept in our minds that we will bring out, and that consumes a lot of time. I've never like even close spent so much time on songwriting in my whole life. Now we have a server where we put all our ideas, songwriting ideas. I write a lot on Guitar Pro. The other two, they record a lot on guitar. Work together with Sebastian a lot, and we work like make Cubase sessions, and we upload them on the server. And we just recently checked, we have like 17 songs now, and from those 17 songs, we want to use 6 now. So that's how extreme things are. So those are already would be 2 Obscura albums now already, I think. Yeah, but we only take 6 songs from there, and we still keep on working. And I hope we can hit the studio. The plan is that we hit the studio beginning of next year, and bring out the album in the fall of next year. I think that's what will happen.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you, because you sent me the pictures and I also read about this. When did you start playing this fretless bass?
Playing fretless bass, that happened when I was at the music college. I started to play pop songs with a fretless bass, but only more or less to try something new and to get new experience with something else. Sorry. But the first time I had a 6-string fretless bass and played metal with it was Obscura, actually.
Right.
Yeah, so that brought actually my experience with that kind of instrument. And since I did that so much, then it became of being my characteristic element, my characteristic thing. I still love to play without fretless and playing with frets, but yeah, that became my signature thing, and I'm very fine with it. It's if you want to work, I mean, that's also something that is very hard to develop. It's like an own sound. It's so hard to find that and to work on that. But if you want to achieve that, I find it's very good if you are in a band that you can work on that. And I played with Obscura. I played songs from another guy for 3 years exclusively live on stage, and we toured our asses off with Obscura back then. And all the time I played those songs, I changed them a little bit and changed the approach of playing those songs for myself, and I made the basis that Jeroen came up with to my own thing. So I changed it to something that was me then, and I think I could only do that because I had spent so much time with Obscura. Otherwise, it's very hard to really make your own thing. So I for young musicians that want to, I don't know, develop their own thing, I can only recommend like pick one band and work with that band so much until it becomes something unique.
Right. So, so Linus, what's your message to? Because actually, as I said, my friend who's a big fan of Obscura and you, and then he was asking me what's happening with Obsidious because we are not seeing much updates on social media.
I know. Yeah, that's just what I said.
What's your message to your fans?
Well, first of all, we are very, very excited that everybody is so interested in that new band because it's a new band, and Obscura is a very solid brand in the scene. A lot of people know it. A lot of people saw it live. We toured our asses off in Obsidious. Nobody knows anything about the band, how it would sound, who will be the singer. Nobody knows what we try to achieve in the future. We have never played a concert, so very few people know our name even. But the people that follow us are already so excited and very impatient to hear what's going on. And that is very flattering. And we are really, really happy that people give us so much attention already. It's even having not heard any note, we are very, very happy. And thanks for all the patience. That's my message. That we know it's a lot of time to wait for, but it will be worth it. We're really, really working our asses off, and it will be very, very different. It's a very different, I don't know, how do you say? No, I don't know, but it will be very, it will be something big. Even if you will have hate it or love it, I guess, but it is something special that all of us in the band can feel, and we know it's the right thing to do right now. And yeah, so we're really thankful, and sorry that we don't share too much, but it has really to do with that fact that we want to show something half-assed. That's the only reason.
Right. So Linus, anybody you want to shout out to, Linus?
Yeah, all the people that follow us, and it's really an exciting time. Also, I wrote about when I left Obscura. I wrote about I published that I will bring out a solo record at some point. That's also something I'm working on. At the same time, I have a lot of songwriting ideas. Like Obsidious is now my first priority, but that's also something that people showed a lot of interest in. Also, that I want to thank very, very much. With Alkaloid, my other band, we also will bring out a new record so next year, I can imagine. So there is a lot of things coming up, and I'm so thankful for everybody following all my crazy path. It's not easy to follow sometimes, so I'm really, really happy. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, Linus. So this is when I messaged you in Facebook, I didn't thought you will actually reply to me. So, but I'm so happy that we were able to have this conversation. Looking forward to the new music from you, and then keep making good music, metal.
Thank you so much, and thank you for this opportunity to talk about Obsidious. It's one of the first interviews, podcasts I have about this. So thanks for that opportunity, and thanks for being productive and doing something active in the metal scene in this horrible Corona time. So and turning it into something positive and doing something for the scene is very good. Great.
So
thanks,
just tell everyone how they can follow you and the band and Obsidious on social media.
Yeah. So there is a website we have, obsidious-band.com. There we also have a newsletter that you can follow. I think that's the best way, because in social media you always have those problems that maybe we bring out an update and nobody can see it because it's not in the algorithms. I don't know. So that's like the safest way to be informed. for sure. And also we know about the loyalty of people that follow us on the newsletter. So we want to give them benefits, like when we said when we have the first song out, we want to show it to our newsletter followers first. Well, then we have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and you can also follow me, of course, on social media and the other band members. If you're more interested in my solo record or in bass courses that I offer, I have some on my website that you can buy, Linus-Klausenitzer.com, or you just Google my name. I think it's probably one of the first hits on Google. Yeah, so that's the best way. You can follow Alkaloid and alkaloidband.com. Yeah, just Google it. We also have a website. We just have a new shop. If you want some merch, it's there, and that's also where you get the D. Yeah, I think that's a lot to follow now. But yeah, those are all the channels.
Okay, so thank you, Linus. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Channa. Thank you.
Thank you.